My man! Welcome to the show. How are you? Really excited as a parent and as a person of color to have our guest today. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, guys, it's Irfan. Today, I'm really excited. We've got a very special guest today. Dawn, how do you pronounce your last name?
Flaherty.
Flaherty. I was going to say that, but I tend to mess up. So I always like to ask instead. My name's difficult too, and people always get it wrong. So, Dawn, you've got a thriving business in Southern California, and I know we were just talking before I made this intro that everything has been super easy for you. You've been a successful entrepreneur since day one, and so we're just going to share your story and talk about how easy your days are and how you got. This was a walk in the park for you. So before we do that, if you could just maybe introduce yourself in terms of what name of your business, how long you've been in business, and what you guys do, because you guys have got some really interesting services and things that you help people with. So could talk about that just a little bit as a starting point.
Sure. So again, my name is Dawn Flaherty, and I started actually moving towards natural healing 35 years ago when I got diagnosed with cancer. And I got several surgeries and everything kept getting worse. And I decided to leave the medical field, go towards natural services. So I found a doctor that was natural. He taught me about natural healing, number one, detoxing. He said every dis-ease in the body is contributed to a toxic overload. So you get the toxic overload out of the body knows what to do because God designed it to do that. We were just never meant for all these toxins that are inundating our bodies every day, every minute, everything that we can eat and drink and breathe. And so I ended up clearing everything from my body, and I went to work under him for several years. And that's how I got directed towards this natural healing process. And I just carried it on even after he passed on. I actually started at 18 years old in a slaughterhouse.
Oh my God. See, one of the things that I love about you is how nonchalantly you talk about these things that are very weighty and big. So you start off at a slaughterhouse at 18 years old. Now, are you originally from Southern California?
Santa Barbara, yes.
Santa Barbara. Okay. So you're Santa Barbara, California, 18 years old, you work in a slaughterhouse. And then at some point you get diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, I had several diagnoses, but during the course of the several surgeries, it led to worse diagnoses. Okay. So, so I went on to learn about, what's in meat and how it affects the body. I learned this through the doctor, and this obviously was several years later. And he's like, your hormones are awry because you're eating meat that's injected with hormones. You're gaining too much weight because they're feeding the cows this food that makes them go from a 100-pound calf to a 500-pound cow in 6 months. What do you expect to happen? And so I started learning all these things and then ended up working with him. And, years just pummeled me forward. I got out of the slaughterhouse business after 3 years, and I actually became a massage therapist. So I think it was already in me, that draw towards natural. I just was a Cheeto, Frito, and Dorito eating massage therapist at that time. And so I didn't adopt the other part of it. And he helped me do that. So even when I work with people with different ailments, I tell them, this could be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because as we were talking about earlier, you can take the wrong road, or you just cannot be on the road that you were meant to be on. And that helped me. It kind of knocked me onto the right road. And, a lot of people live on the road that wasn't meant for them, but it's maybe not such a bad road. So they don't look into a different direction, or they just don't want to move past that. And that's okay if they're happy. But I've always been the kind of person that wanted to live my best life and, do the best for the world and for people. I am definitely a people person. Mm-hmm. As far as helping them, and more so after I had my own experience with healing.
Okay. And it seems to me, the sense that I get from you is that you're very disciplined and self-directed. Like when you had that diagnosis, you started researching and talking to doctors and figuring out a better path, and you made your own road. Would you say that maybe in a lot of people's cases, they just don't necessarily have the discipline to stick to some of these things? They may want a better path. And then what do you tell them? Like how to get over that?
As far as working with people, I'm going to say the majority of people that I work with that don't adopt or look for that other path is because they're very, for lack of a better word, indoctrinated by the medical system. They're very drawn to, well, I'm going to do this because my insurance covers it.
Yep.
I'm going to do this because, my second aunt did this and it worked for her. Or maybe it didn't. I get a lot of those people. It didn't work for them, but maybe it'll work for me. And my insurance covers it. That's the biggest thing I get. In what we do, natural modalities, obviously, they are not covered under insurance. Hopefully, they will come the more that we work towards that and show people, our bodies were meant to heal itself. We just have to get them in the right environment to do that.
Okay. So you're working as a massage therapist, Doritos, Fritos, and Cheetos. And then at what point did you say, you know what? I'm on to something here. I'm going to create a bigger change. I'm going to go from licensed massage practitioners. And what's the next step?
I guess some people have to search that out. I don't feel like I really had to search that out because I was a medical massage therapist and I had 11 different doctors sending me their patients. And one of them was the natural doctor, naturopathic. He was also an MD. So the other doctors that were sending me their patients were like chiropractors, a plastic surgeon, prosthetic. I knew that they couldn't help me with that situation. I didn't even know what a naturopathic doctor was at the time that I called this doctor, and I just said, this is what's going on with me. I don't know if you know someone who can help me or if you can help me. And he said, come in the morning. And that was the beginning of my new path.
Got it.
So
okay.
It was difficult. It wasn't an easy transition for sure. Going from Cheetos, Fritos, and Doritos to 11 glasses of carrot juice a day was not the easiest transition.
Right.
So you do have to have some kind of ability to adapt and sustain,
right?
Or, some commitment.
And so talk to me about that treatment. How long until you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to stick to them. There's sort of like a sort of a growing pains period where you're struggling with that a little bit, maybe the first 90 days, or what did that look like for you?
Yeah, well, it looked very difficult. I had to do things that I wouldn't ask people to do this day and time because we have better modalities. Drinking raw calf liver was not my favorite thing. And now we have capsules. There's a lot of things that people would just be, when I tell them my story, just blown away. They're like, you did that. I'm like, I did things that were so difficult, and not to mention the coffee enemas 5 times a day. And, it was a whole lifestyle change. And I have to like slow down when I talk to people now, because I'm like, this is what you have to do. This is how you do it. And, because I have to remember how shocking it was for me. And so I would say it probably took, I don't know, a good 45 days, maybe a month and a half before I was like, this is my life and this is what I'm doing. And I think the biggest reason that I was adapted at that point is because I had already lost 15 pounds. My acne was already gone. My hair quit falling out. I quit having asthma attacks. At the time, I carried around an inhaler. I had a breathing machine next to my bed. I wasn't using any of that anymore. So it's when you go that hardcore into a detox program, stuff changes real quick. So I saw all this happening and I wasn't about to quit. I mean, I'm just kind of like that person already. Like when I say I'm going to do something, I just do it. And I like it even more when people say you can't do it. That just propels me even more.
I get that. I get from the first conversation I ever had with you, a couple of things that stood out is like, you're a no nonsense person. You don't suffer fools. And I also, the other thing that I got from you is that once you just decide on something, it's or somebody tells you no, it's over. It's too late. They set off the, whatever missile. Yeah, they hit the button. Okay, so you got yourself back into a healthy place, and you're still working as a massage therapist. At what point do we get this crazy idea? I say that in quotes to say, I'm going to launch a wellness business unlike anything that's out there. We're going to do this, and this.
Yeah, so it took a while because after working with this doctor that trained me in all of the oxidative therapies and different modalities and healing modalities, he had actually asked me to move to Mexico and run his cancer clinic that he was building. And my daughters had graduated from high school. I only had my son. He's like, just take him with you. He'll be bilingual. It'll be great. Got us a little dune buggy so I could drive him to school on the sand. I mean, we were going to have the life. I was so excited. And 6 weeks before I was due to leave for Mexico after selling everything I owned, he passed away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I will not get into that publicly, but he didn't pass away naturally, in my opinion. So I was left with what am I doing? Because I actually had moved to Oklahoma City. It was very strange. Santa Barbara girl, moved to Oklahoma City, but I got a divorce and I just needed to get away. My mom lived there. So I just thought I'll go for 6 months, let things cool down and go back. 8 years later, I'm still there because all of this transpired and it was all meant to be. And so I just decided to move back home. I'm like, everything is done. There's no clinic without him. So I'm going to go back home. Well, there was some level of fear, not just in what I felt happened to him, but also in doing it on my own without his direction. So I went through quite a few years of, I don't know, I guess we could call it trauma, of losing what I thought I had a hold of and feeling like I couldn't do it without him. And fast forward years of having a spa in my hometown, going back to what I knew. Well, I knew this too, but going back to what I felt comfortable in.
Sure.
But I started having people come in with different, ailments, and I started helping them because I started pulling all my tricks out of my hat again, and that had learned, and things started happening, and they were like, we want more, and can you help this person and that person, and, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, whatever the case may be. And so that's kind of how it sprouted. And I feel like I went through years of, I don't know that I would call it depression, but it was because in my heart, I knew I wasn't doing what I really wanted to do, but I was afraid to do it. And then I had an instance with a client that she didn't adopt what I knew would work for her, and she passed. And it hurt me so bad to think that she thought I was only her massage therapist, so I couldn't help her as much as the medical field. And that broke my heart. It broke me in every way. And that's when I walked away from my spa, went and opened my first Detox Depot store, there was no concept. I was just like, I'm going to do it. So I went, did a commercial location, put Detox Depot on the window, made cards, put it on my car, and just started driving around for years and doing this detox work. And in the commercial location as well, and just slowly started building a clientele completely opposite what I had been doing since I moved back home, which was like 7 years. And there was some discomfort in it, but there was also a lot of excitement in it because I was doing what I really felt like I was meant to do. And so it just kind of sprouted from there. Things happened in between that kind of slowed my progress down of my vision. But then one day I said, I need to see the full vision. I need to be very clear. I need to get clarity. And I went on a 21-day water fast. And on the 21st day, I saw everything that I see right here sitting in my second location.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was profound. I just turned around and went home, wrote it all down, drew what I saw, and started building.
Okay.
So,
and you do not come across to me as a money-driven person. A lot of folks who want to start a business, they're thinking of it primarily for, how are they want to get to X amount of dollars, or they want to be some big influencer on social media. Whereas you came at this, it seems, from a completely different personal journey and just more mission oriented of like, hey, this is my message and this is the impact that I want to have on people. And the best vehicle to do this with is this business called Detox Depot. Is that kind of how it went down?
Yes, I think that when you experience a life-altering experience, you want to share it with the world because it's a scary place to be where you think you can't get out of. Mm-hmm. And when you have some kind of dis-ease in the body, and I say dis-ease instead of disease, because that's what we're in. I don't live by labels. If someone comes in and says, I have cancer, it's just a word that human beings created. Bottom line is they are in dis-ease. We need to get rid of the dis, and they're going to be back in ease. So I don't want people to get confused that I'm naming diseases, because I'm not. I do not heal them. I detox them. Their body is designed to heal itself, given the right environment.
Wow. I think that's a whole conversation just by itself. So let's get into, what year did your Detox Depot launch, and in what city are you located in?
I'm in Santa Barbara and Ventura, California. Yeah.
2 locations. Okay.
Yeah, I actually originally launched it in 2007. Was my first sign on the door, and started building from there. And, I had life experiences in between that kind of slowed it down, but it was all meant to be. Everything happens in its own timing. And I have learned the hard road to stop pushing and, changing God's timing instead of wanting mine, because things fall apart when it's in your timing. Everything has to work together. And so Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's get into the different services or menu of services that you provide. So let's say I'm a new patient and someone's referred. Is that how you get a lot of your clients, is through referrals, I guess?
We get all our clients through referrals, and they are clients where they're not patients because we're not doctors. We are detox specialists, and they're all referrals. Roosterly is the first advertising I've ever done. So yeah, I mean, we do have some like influencers that come in for services and they blast us. But other than that, I think starting this in 2007 and building up a clientele for that long has afforded me not to pay so much for or anything for.
So let's say that I'm used to going to allopathic physicians, right? MDs, and they've got their place. Naturopathic physicians have their place. And I'm a little bit skeptical of like, hey, who's Dawn? What's Detox Depot all about? I like the idea of detox and, cleansing and some of these things. I've heard about juicing or eating naturally. Like there's a lot of information right now out there about the risks of eating super processed foods like meats and other things that everyone eats every day. But I'm still skeptical. So if I'm looking at your services and you see that I'm a little weary, where do you start me off, and how do I sort of go from being kind of a newbie working with you and just sort of feeling comfortable to saying, okay, I like this. And then what are the next steps, and how do I, there's that machine that you guys have. I don't know what it's called, but it's really cool. So I'm guessing that's sort of like the Uber level of service. I don't know, but if you could sort of walk me through the different stages.
Yeah, of course. So we do have intake forms that kind of give us an idea of what they've been diagnosed with or what symptoms they have if they've not had a diagnosis. The place that I like to start people at that are skeptical or just not sure that this is for them is we do epigenetic hair testing. So yeah, we pull 4 hairs from the back of their head. We have a scanner. We put the hairs on the scanner, close it up, put their info into the computer, send it to Germany, and Germany sends us a 35-page report on their body. We know if they have parasites, fungus, mold, bacteria, toxic metals, chemicals, and hydrocarbons, how much EMF they have trapped in their body, what foods are causing inflammation in their body.
What's EMF?
Electromagnetic frequency from 5G towers, phones, TVs, computers. Yeah, so each one of those products has a different frequency. Okay. And we are all built differently. Some of us are walking around chronically dehydrated. Some of us don't have good fatty acids in us. We don't have the ability to break them down, whatever the case may be, or you just don't eat them. And so EMF will go into your cells in a person like that and stay in them. And it's virtually like getting your cells radiated all day. And that will cause anxiety, depression, all kinds of weird things are happening in your body when you have something, an energy in your cell that's not supposed to be there. All of our organs and organ systems run at a specific frequency. And if you put a frequency in there that doesn't belong, you're going to feel unwell. So we've got to teach you how to number one, clear all that out of your body, and number two, protect your body from any of it coming back in. So we have things that you can wear, like I wear this everywhere, and that's like if you were near me and you had your phone and you didn't have a protective button on your phone to diffuse that EMF, then your EMF is not going to come in my body. So 5G towers, once I walk outside from our protected zone, you're just not protected.
Can you explain what that is that you're wearing?
Yeah, it's called a Q-Link, and it is an EMF diffuser. EMF comes in our body at a right spinning energy field. Our human cells are left spinners. So it disrupts, it's because it's stronger. It's a stronger frequency than what we put off. And that's why it's so damaging. And so it will literally spin our cells the wrong way. So if we have this on, it actually pulls it in, the EMF, and spins it in the left spinning. So it's actually surrounding us with good energy.
Wow. Okay. And it's so funny because I don't think a lot of people realize the impact that energy and frequencies have. There are YouTube videos that are 5-6 hours long that are nothing but emit some sort of energy frequency that's changes the frequency in us. I'm not an expert at explaining it clearly, but it's really interesting to study that stuff.
Yeah, the solfeggio frequencies.
Right. That's what it is. Okay, so I start with you there at that sort of very basic level. You take the hair samples. I get back a report, and from there, you have some sort of basis on recommending a detox therapy to start with,
right. So if I sit down and look at their results from Germany, from their clinic in Germany, where doctors are creating this program to read their DNA, I can look at it and say, well, you've got parasites. We need to put you on some mimosa pudica, and maybe let's start eating these kind of foods that are known to kill parasites. So we try to be very food-based. I don't like people to come in and go, oh, well, I need this, this, and this, and this, and this off the shelf. I'm like, whoa, you're going to bombard your body, and we don't even know if your body is able to break things down. So, I can look at them, their results, and see what nutrients they're deficient in, and find a supplement that has all those nutrients. And then at the same time, like one supplement, not like 15 of them. And then at the same time, we teach them what foods to start implementing in their diet that are high in that specific supplement or nutrient that they're deficient in. And then we need to make sure that they're breaking down. The beauty of our supplements is they're all methylated and fermented. So they're already broken down. Your body doesn't have to do anything. And a lot of people have a methylation problem these days. The bodies don't break down things like breaking down your foods. And on top of it, even if you could break them down, if you're capable, some of those people are dehydrated. So when you're dehydrated, you can't pull in the nutrients into the cells. So we have to address dehydration possibly. It gives us a lot of information. And so I go at it, I don't want to say violently, but strongly.
Aggressively, right.
A bulldog, but I don't overload their body. So what I first do, I first tell them, first of all, you've got parasites, you've got toxic metals, you got a lot of EMF in your body, whatever the case may be. The first thing we need to do is detox you. We need to get all this poison and this disruption out of your body, and then start implementing any nutrients that you need in supplement form. Meanwhile, I typically always tell them to take digestive enzymes, because that helps break their food down that they're eating and be able to digest that food and then get the nutrients out of it into their body. So it's a process. And then typically I always recommend them getting in the HOCAT, which you are interested in. Yeah. That is our biggest attraction. The HOCAT stands for, be ready for this, hyperthermic ozone carbonic acid transdermal technology.
Hypothermic transdermic carbonic energy? Something.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, it's got 10 different modalities in it. And, before I found this machine in 2018, I was doing all those modalities. I was doing ozone, oxygen, PEMF, infrared, color therapy, essential oil therapy, Rife therapy. It is loaded with treatments that I had to do one at a time. So if I had a client, I'm putting them on one table and maybe doing one or two treatments. Then I got to move them into a different room and do another. And it was just time consuming. Yeah. So you're talking about maybe seeing 2 or 3 people a day. And now I've got 2 locations and 10 or 15 going through one machine a day. Here in Ventura, where I am right now, is my new location. We're still getting everything put up and put together, but we will have 2 HOCATs here.
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
And those are not inexpensive machines. I know the people listening may not know what one looks like, but it's a full, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a full chamber. Your head sticks out, but we close you up and wrap you up, and then we blast you with some CO2, carbonic acid, and ozone, and essential oils, and all the things that are in it. Just go in there and clean your body out. People come out. I am honestly saying I have never had anybody come out of there that has not noticed something different. They either say, I am super clear in my brain, or this pain gone, that pain gone, or I feel like I could run 10 miles, or some people get out if they have a lot of toxic, substances in them. It kills too much off, and it takes a little while for the ozone to continue to break down and dissolve that die off. They can feel really tired. But then when they wake up after that sleep, they're like, whoa, something's totally different. I mean, your skin gets like baby soft. It anti-ages you. Your hair, we've had people come in with hair loss and the hair just starts growing like that. The nails grow. Everything is improved. Your immune system is definitely improved. That's what it's all about, is improving the immune system. And part of that is getting the toxins out that are weighing the immune system down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how many treatments do you recommend, or it's just dependent on each individual? It does to some degree depend on each individual, what, their issue is. And you don't have to have an issue. You can just not want to get old and come in here. But typically people are referred, so that typically they do have some kind of health issue that they want to address. And they generally understand that cleaning out the body is going to help your immune system and be anti-aging. So it doesn't take a lot for them to understand that. But I typically say you should start with 12 treatments. If they have something growing in them, say like parasites or fungus or mold, we have in Southern California, we have a lot of mold issues. I have lots of clients come in with mold because we're near the ocean and everything gets moldy. And that is something that's growing. So say you came in and you got in the HOCAT and say it killed off 20% of the mold in your body. Well, you still got 80% in there that's still growing. So if you wait a week or 2 weeks, you could grow back part of that 20% we killed off. But if you come in every other day for 3 weeks, it could potentially eradicate it. Some people take 6 months, 4 or 6 months. We don't know, but they typically feel better when the majority or all of the load is off. I mean, they have to go get retested. We can test them, do a hair test on them to see if it's still showing up, or they can go to the doctor and get the test that they got to find out they had it in the first place. Okay. So let's say that I sign up for 12 treatments because, parasites and mold or any number of different things. At what frequency do I want to get retested to see if those things went down? And how are those things measured?
So as far as we measure them in the epigenetic hair testing, it's every 90 days.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fascinating. All right. Now, in terms of, is there like sort of a starter plan, or I don't know what your menu of services looks like, but could you sort of describe like, hey, you start out, or if you want to discuss pricing, say, hey, everyone starts off at this basic level, and then here's the next step, here's the next step. Is that how even your menu of services looks like? Or talk a little bit about that for somebody who's like, hey, I don't know, it sounds expensive, I don't know if I can afford it, etc.
Okay, so as far as the cost goes, it's $175 for a session, but we also offer packages. And if you can buy a 6-pack, a 12-pack, or a 24-pack, and the more you buy, the lower the price goes.
It's fair.
We also just created a membership program, which can take it to the lowest that it can possibly go. And that would be somebody signing a 12-month contract, auto pay for $780 a month, and they get to come 8 times a month, which makes it $90 a session.
Really good.
Really good. So yeah, so people with chronic issues, or we right now, I think mostly chronic issues, or people that are elderly, that they know once they've done it once or twice, and they're like, I didn't fall asleep at 7 o'clock at night, or, my legs aren't aching, or I'm not, just all kinds of different things. We've had a lot of people come in after, we were open the entire COVID pandemic, the entire time. Yeah, I actually bought my first HOCAT right before they started closing everything down. Yeah. And it was getting delivered, and I was like, oh my God. And it ended up to be the biggest blessing, because my clients came in with COVID, they got in it, and 30 minutes later we opened the door and they're like, I don't feel anything. I'm not sick. I'm not like, I'm breathing better. I don't feel any of the things I was feeling, the symptoms of COVID. And for some people, it took one session, and some people, with the cough, that lingering cough thing, maybe they had to come back 3 or 4 times to get rid of that cough. But every time there was an improvement, and I truly think that's what blew us up, because my doors were swinging and we weren't scared. My employees were rock stars. They weren't scared. They adopted my feelings of it all, that, our bodies were designed to fight this if they're strong enough. And so I did tell my employees, it is company policy during this pandemic that you get into the HOCAT once a week. And for 2 years, the first 2 years of the pandemic, none of us got sick. And we were face to face with everybody. We didn't make them wear masks. We didn't wear masks. None of us got sick. And then I decided to take about a 3-week vacation to Peru and Costa Rica. And they were so busy that they didn't have time to get in every week. And obviously I hadn't been getting in every week. And I came back and brought everybody a little gift. So yeah, we all got COVID, and we just popped into the machine and got rid of it.
Amazing.
And yeah. And strangely enough, I was the one that took more than one session. Yeah. It was, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I have to touch on, it's very interesting during that time that I was going on these doctors were doing these meetings online, and I was going in and trying to learn more about COVID, because they didn't even know anything about it. Nobody knew anything about it. We're just all practicing. And so I was in on one of these conferences, and they were discovering that their patients in their practices that were smokers were not getting COVID. And they reconvened about a month later, and I listened in on their discussion, and they said, yeah, since 1953, it's been in the medical Merck manual that nicotine stops the spike protein, which is the problem with COVID. That's what happens. And I started buying nicotine gum. And
so during that whole COVID thing, you took a break, you came back, you guys got sick, you guys got better, you started taking nicotine gum, which is sort of not what I would expect you to do necessarily. Right. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, so it was proven that it stops spike protein, which is the problem. People, whether they've been vaccinated or, well, definitely if they've been vaccinated, because the vaccine is designed to cause the spike protein in your body forever, so that when the virus comes in, it's already ready to fight. And that's just not the way it works in the body properly. It's destructive. Sometimes people that just get COVID that haven't been vaccinated, for some reason, it's very random. Doesn't matter how healthy you are or unhealthy. The spike protein doesn't shut down when the virus is dead. For some reason, we don't know why. Nobody still knows why that happens. So that's what long haul COVID is called. Because they're sick. They're still sick. Because this thing is in there destroying their cells, destroying their body, weakening whatever organ it's attacking, maybe several. And so we were noticing this, and we were like, that's why I started digging. And then I discovered this. Well, lo and behold, guess who had long haul COVID?
Who?
Me.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. I did not even know. It wouldn't even have entered my mind that I would have it, the Detox Depot girl. But I just noticed like these weird things were happening. Like I was getting leg twitches and eye twitches and eye pain and super dizzy and lightheaded and nauseous. And then it would go away and I'd be like, oh, I'm just overworking, which is typical of me. And then I was losing my balance. So I started going and getting checked out. 3 different people diagnosed me with MS. And I looked at the last one and I said, just because you don't know what's wrong with me does not mean you need to slap a label on me. And I am not going to stand for it. And I walked out and I was done. So that's when I started searching for the answer. And when these doctors came out and said, it's so weird. We have this group of patients that are smokers, and then the other group of patients that are not smokers. These non-smokers are going to the hospital with COVID. They're getting intubated. Some of them are dying. Not one of my smoker patients has died or got COVID. And the only time that they could say they got COVID is if, say, one of these smokers was going to a concert and they had to get a test, and the test said positive, and the people were like, I don't feel sick. Bizarre. So they did their research. They found out this nicotine thing. All these symptoms I was having. I went and got that nicotine gum, chewed it for 3 days, never had another symptom since.
And do you still chew it?
No.
Okay.
No, I chewed it for 2 weeks, was the protocol back then. It was 2 weeks. And then I went and did research to find the healthiest nicotine gum on the planet that doesn't have preservatives and additives and sucrose and sucralose and all the junk in it. And so we stocked up on it, and these people were coming in, and I was like, well, going back to if I'm money driven or not, I said, I could sell you $175 HOCAT treatment and it will help you. Or you can just buy this $5 pack of gum because I really want to help you right now at this very minute.
Wow.
And it was miraculous. I mean, like truly just mind blowing. I had actually a couple that came together, and they had, she had no taste and he had no taste or smell. So they came in and I said, well, I think that you should chew this gum. And they were a little leery. They're like, why are you telling us to chew nicotine? And I'm like, listen, first of all, nicotine is a natural substance. It's a natural plant from the earth. Nicotine in itself is not natural. Nicotine itself is not addictive. It's the chemicals that they put in the nicotine, in the cigarettes, that's addictive. It is not the nicotine. Nicotine's never been addictive. Animals go eat it in natural settings when they're sick. So that's one thing we had to hurdle over. Anyways, this couple bought a couple packs of it and they left on Thursday, and their next appointment with me was on Tuesday, and they came in and they said, you're not going to believe what happened. So yesterday, when we got off work, we said, we better chew this gum or we're going to get scolded by Dawn because we have to see her tomorrow. And so they said, we said, we're going to go on our nightly walk. We popped a piece of this gum. We went walking through our neighborhood as usual. Every night they have an hour walk together. And she said, we were about 15 minutes down the road. And my husband looked at me and said, what's that smell? For a year, he had no smell or taste. So they raced back home. I guess didn't finish their hour walk, raced back home because they couldn't wait to eat to see if they tasted, and they both tasted. So, we do have some very miraculous, amazing equipment here that is powerful. But the way that I like to work with people is what is going to be the best help for them in the fastest amount of time with the least expense, and, just giving people what they need. Because a lot of times people will come and they'll get in the HOCAT and, maybe they just have a chronic something going on, and then they get in it one time and they're like, well, I feel more clarity, but my joints still ache. I'm like, well, you got to get in it again. And sometimes they don't. So I'm always looking for things that are very helpful very quickly.
Fascinating. What are your goals for the next 12 months, next 18 months? You've got 2 locations, both are thriving. You've got celebrity clients that swear by you. All your, the majority of your clients are also referrals. So all these good, great things that you guys are doing that are a testament to the fact that this is more of a calling for you, it seems, and that's why people swear by you, is because the proof is in the pudding that your treatments clearly work. Are you taking over the world? What's the next step? Where do you go from here? And I know that I heard that you have a young grandson or granddaughter. Is that right?
I have 11.
Oh gosh. Wow. Congrats.
Grandsons and granddaughters. Yes.
Would have never guessed.
I have a whole brood. Yeah. They're fantastic. It's amazing. Yeah. So my son just had the newest one. And I got it. My oldest one is 18. Well, she'll be 19 soon. Okay. And they're the oldest one just finished her first year of college. I'm freaking out. But I love it at the same time because I can keep up with them in more ways than one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my goals, I have lots of goals. I seem like when I hurdle over one, I always figure out another one I can conquer. But I think that God just puts them there for me. He's like, okay, you did that. Here's a new one. And I don't know when that's going to end, but I'm okay. My goal for the next 12 to 18 months is to open 5 stores in California. And then I will be moving out of California to open 5 more in the next state, and so on and so on. Somewhere in there, I'm sure there will be an intervening of an investor that will help me just scatter them faster than I'm able to do it on my own. But I just really want to get the whole business concept, exactly what we're going to carry, all the things that really make a business run well, all the successful parts of it, including the employees and how they're trained, and all the things I want in place before that transpires. So that's what I'm working on now.
You see yourself franchising this concept, or no?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm not interested in making friends with the government.
Got it. Because that is a way that a lot of businesses grow very quickly, but that's not the only way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, those I've discussed that with my attorney, and he says, franchises are great. They're very, very costly to get up and running and to carry. And you don't have all the control, because when you're a franchise, the government tells you how things will be run and how they will happen, and you get taxed on all that on top of what you're already getting taxed on. There's just a lot of things that I did not like about it, and I just decided that this was the type of business that I wanted control over. And so I'm licensing it. So eventually my dream right now would be to open the 5 stores and then sell those 5 stores, detox depots of California, to one individual. And then I would own, my original thought was to sell each store as I built it. But well, my lawyers came to the conclusion that that was going to be overwhelming for me, because when you license, you still have an attachment to the business. And, they pay a licensing fee to carry your name and your concept, and they pay that every year. But in turn, you have to, be there for them if they have any issues, or, help with maintenance, or, any issues with these modalities that we have going on here. And he's like, you're going to be on overwhelm if you sell all 5 stores to 5 different people. Why don't you just build 5 in each state, sell it to that one person, and then move on to the next. So that's where we're going right now. Things could change if somebody makes it look better, but for now, that's what I want.
Fascinating. I admire the fact that you came at this as a non-business person when you started, and you ended up becoming sort of a business, not sort of an entrepreneur, almost by accident, just because you needed to get your message out to all these people, and this was the best vehicle to do it. So it's super inspiring. I love what you're doing. Every time I get the opportunity to talk to you, I always come away learning something new. And you're one of those people, who doesn't necessarily, we live in a culture, in a climate, in a country where it's all about sound bites and promoting yourself shamelessly. And I've never known you to do that. You kind of just fly underneath the radar. You know what you have, you know what you do, your clients swear by you, and you're content. And I think that's what a lot of people want. If there was one message that you could give to folks, young women or women, midway through their career, that are struggling with purpose or sort of want to change, what would you say to them?
I would say, first of all, and I actually do help people with this. The first thing that I think you need to do to find your way, your path, because we all have one, we all have a purpose, is to figure out what makes you propel out of bed in the morning, like you were going to Disneyland, if in fact you like Disneyland. If you're taking your kid the first time to Disneyland, that was like more exciting than me going to Disneyland as a kid. I'm taking my kid for the first time. like that kind of excitement, like you just cannot wait to do it. But you need to find something that makes you feel like that every day, because then you don't have a job. It's not a job. It's your passion, and you're living your passion. And there's just no better life to live than living your passion. And sometimes things happen to us along the way. And that's what I tell people that come to me, and they say, I know I need to detox because I have cancer and I need to improve my immune system so my body can do its job. And I'm like, cancer was just a way to knock you onto the right path. And you're going to learn something in this. And I use cancer as an example, but it can be anything. It can be it can be a broken leg. It can be, whatever it is. Our body gives us signs that, hey, we need to take a different direction. And mine gave me lots of signs. And I finally just prayed. I looked up to the Lord and I said, can you throw a brick at my head? And that brick was cancer. And I'm like, okay, got it now. So that's the first thing is I think that I know you have to love what you do or you're just surviving.
Yep. I'm going to challenge that just a little bit because I'd love to hear your answer to this follow-up. I'm sure you've got days. I mean, I know you're driven by creating a positive impact on your clients. But there's parts of your business, I'm sure, that you have to work with and do that are not so fun, right? Whether it's technology or admin work or accounting and some of these little clunky parts of what we have to do to keep our businesses running smoothly. How do you get through those things that you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, crap. I love what I do. I get it, but I got to deal with this. Yeah. How do you cope with it?
Yeah. First of all, I don't wake up in the morning like that. I wake up, can't wait to get out of bed. It's when I actually arrive at the computer. And then I'm like, no, I can't do this. Yeah, because I am not a computer person. I have taught myself a lot, and I have shed tears over all that lot. Because I'm not. I am a creative person. I am a healer in my heart. I don't heal other people, but that's what I want for people. I teach people how to make their body heal itself. But that's who I am. And I'll tell you, I was sitting with Ben Vereen. I don't know. You're very young.
I know.
Okay, good. I was sitting chatting with him one day, and I said, I just don't remember stuff because I have so much going on. It's like I forget stuff. And then that computer, I look at the computer and I'm just at a complete loss. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening with my life? I can't do this. And he just leans in and he looks at me and he goes, honey, that's not what God made you for. Find someone else to do that. And I will never forget that because I have always had the mindset that I needed to do it all, whether it was a control issue or, I don't want to pay anybody to do that. No, that was the greatest thing that he ever said to me. And I just took that and ran with it. And I'm like, okay, I can't do it all. And I shouldn't do it all. There are people that can do this really well, really fast. Time is money. You have to get to that place where you understand what you're good at, what you're willing to learn, and what you're willing to delegate. And that was one of the hardest things I had to deal with is letting go and being like, okay, I'm not going to be in control of this. And once you do that, it's phenomenal. So nothing has to I would guess, staffing would be my only issue. It's an ongoing issue. It's very difficult because everybody has different personalities and feelings. And, I've had employees that didn't like the smell of ozone and didn't want to clean a foot detox out. And I just like, but you got to do it. This is what I hired you for. So you got to figure out how to work with people. And that's kind of not my forte when I'm trying to work with all these clients to help them propel their health. And then I have to stop and, be tender with somebody,
Right.
And so bottom line, I say, hire that out too. Don't be on the forefront of running your employees. If you don't do computer work, try to learn, but do it by hiring somebody and watching them.
Great
Just-
advice.
Yeah,
Great
let it go. Let it go. Delegate.
All right, awesome. All right, last question, and this is more for us. So you've been a Roosterly client for some time now. Talk to me about your experience, any feedback, why you continue to use us. I'm guessing that you like working with us, but if you could just share with me a little bit about your experience for those who might be listening that are not Roosterly clients and say, hey, and that are thinking, hey, I really need somebody to manage my social or my online presence.
Well, bottom line, I was paying somebody about $3,500 a month to do all my social media. She was doing some other stuff too, but it was just like, even if I told her, well, what if I just want to pay you for this? It was still far over what I pay Roosterly. And I honestly, when I first found Roosterly, I thought it was a hoax. Like, it can only be this much. There's no way.
Yeah.
And, I just went with my gut. And as I tell people, when you got a Snickers bar in your hand and you got an apple in your hand, your gut's going to tell you which one's good for you.
Yeah.
And that's what Roosterly did. I just felt it in my gut that it was true and honest and good. And there was no risk to take. You guys were like, we don't have to get contracted up with us. Just sign on and see what you think. And I don't, other than our few connectivity issues, which was on my end because I changed passwords. I mean, I haven't even had to think about my social media. It's been fantastic. And the thing that really amazes me above the cost of it, which is an unbelievable price, is when I read my own social media postings and I go, where did they find that info? So you guys are over there like doing research on my modalities. And I'm just like, where did they get this? And it's amazing. It's
awesome.
Totally amazing. I couldn't be happier, and I can't ever see myself not using it.
Well, we love working with you. One of the things that I always tell our team on our team calls is we don't want to have clients that don't want to be clients, number one. And that's why we don't have contracts. And number two is we genuinely, sincerely like working with you. We like you. We like your business. And that's what we really want to build. We'll get on the phone with Zoom clients. And I'm like you, like I'm not super money motivated. We'll get on the phone with a client where their energy is just not matching up with ours, or, their vibe is just not aligned with what I think would be successful for us. Like you can tell, like, this is not going to be a good fit. And so we'll tell them like, hey, there's another agency down the street. I'm sure they'd be a better fit for you. But, we just have a good, I think, pulse on building a community of clients that we feel that we want to work for. Like, we're like, oh, it's Dawn. Okay, this is what she's doing. This is cool. Let's go research a bunch of really cool things that can drive her business forward. So anyway, just from the bottom of my heart, from the team that works on your account, like Zor and some of the others, you're always such a positive person. You're always so great to work with. Even when you were at the hospital and you were having your grandson or your grandchild, you messaged us and you were so polite about it. You're like, hey, I'm at the hospital. I'm like, gosh, please go handle your stuff. You don't need to be messaging us or anything. Go take care of yourself. Get some me time. But you're such a driven person. I think this is inspiring. I don't want to get too emotional, but I truly enjoy the opportunity to work with you. And I hope that continues when you're on your 20th store and your 20th center or wherever it goes. So thank you so much, Dawn. Everybody,
Thank you.
check out Dawn's website. Go sign up for her services. I don't care if you have to fly there from New York, but she's such a great person. And Detox Depot, it's the real deal. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.